रह गया. अगर ऐसा नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, अगर आप कंटिन्यू कर रहे हो तो मैं फॉरवर्ड कर लूँगी लिंक. ओके, फिर बाद में ऐड करूँगी. मुझे याद है मेरे क्लास के तुरंत है ना. Good afternoon, students. Last class, because of net issue, some disturbances were there. So some of the students sent messages also to me that they were not much clear about that topic. So once again, we will repeat the main points of the previous classes. Do you remember what we were discussing? We were discussing about global warming, changing climatical changes, and the greenhouse effect. These topics we were discussing. Now at that time I told you how the greenhouse effect, otherwise global warming, takes place. Different greenhouse gases are there in the atmosphere. Names also I have given: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, fluoricated gases, chlorofluorocarbon, halocarbons, like that. Different names are given in your textbook. All these greenhouse gases means these gases increases the greenhouse effect in the atmosphere because they absorb the heat. These gases absorb the heat. Otherwise the temperature, the sun rays from the sun, some of the sun rays reflect back, but the remaining, these greenhouse gases absorbs. These gases are present in the atmosphere, they absorb the heat. Then this because of that there is continuous increase in the temperature in the atmosphere. This continuous temperature increasing is known as global warming. So greenhouse gases are the main reason for this global warming. Then because of this global warming, climatical changes take place, that we had seen. And about that picture also we had explained which are the man-made, otherwise human activities, deforestation, motor vehicles, and this spray factories, and all these are responsible for that. Now in the next page some news cuttings are given in the textbook, that also we had discussed, but one more time again. Increase in 5 degrees Celsius of temperature in West Europe and heat experienced, and 14 degrees Celsius temperature in Darjeeling, and maximum it is 28 degree in 2009. The data is very old only. Now again a lot of changes are there in the climate, otherwise atmospherical changes are taking place, and even in desert snowfall takes place, rain takes place, rainfall is there in desert also, but where good rains were getting there, rainfall is not getting. So everything is oppositely taking place. Then Mumbai also received 940 ml rain in one day. 2005 data is there, but still the situation is very worse if rain gets there in Mumbai. Complete flood and very heavy rainfall we face. Then increasing temperature in Australia also. Australia, the location, you know, their temperature is comparatively moderate temperature, but there also temperature is increasing. Then Sundarban is submerging. Sundarban, what is Sundarban? That also I had told. Let us repeat it again. It is the largest mangrove forest in India. Not only in India, in the world it is largest mangrove forest. And where it is located? It is bordering between Bangladesh and India. And what is this? This is a river delta. And what is river delta means? It is a landform created by deposition of sediments that is carried by a river. When river flows, it carries a lot of sediments, and when it deposits, naturally some of it deposits on the river bank. That's why you can see that in river bank the fertility, the soil's fertility also will be very good, and the color of the soil also will be different. But when it deposits in lower areas and it accumulates in large quantity, then their landform creates one type of land. That landform is known as deltas. And when these deltas are forming, they are stagnant water, otherwise very slow moving water will be there. So this Sundarban is a river delta, of which rivers Actually, three rivers confluence there: Ganga, Brahmaputra and Meghna rivers. Because of the flow of these rivers, otherwise because of the sediments deposited from these three rivers, one delta formed in the border of Bangladesh and India, and that is known as Sundarban. And it's a good ecosystem, and different species of plants and variety of living creatures you can see there. But now what is the condition? It is submerging. It is submerging means it is sinking. Why it is sinking? Because the sea level, otherwise the water level is increasing due to global warming. So this is not good, because this is the largest mangrove forest, good ecosystem that should be protected, but it is getting naturally spoiled due to this global warming. Next is in Khumbu, Snow River of Nepal. There also reduction, means the river, Snow River itself is getting reduced sometimes, and after sometimes it may get dry up also. So these all taking place due to global warming. Then ice cap of the size of 3250 square kilometer melt within 35 days in Antarctica. Antarctica ice cap melt, polar regions. Because of the extreme temperature in the atmosphere, the polar regions also melt. When polar regions, the ice caps melts, what happens? This water will flow to the sea level, to the sea only. As a result, sea level will rise. When sea level will rise, what happens? The cities and the areas located nearby the sea, then that also will be sinking in future. That is why it is telling that Gujarat in India, largest sea border is there, because Gujarat coastline we know 1600 kilometer. So if the pollution, global warming and all these things increases day by day like this, then within 50 years it is telling that the many portions of Gujarat may be sinking into Arabian Sea. So there is chance of that. So we have to migrate from Gujarat, some other safer places, because of the sea level rising. Why sea level is rising? Because from the polar regions ice caps melt. Now sources of rivers are drying up. The mouth of the river, otherwise the river source from where the river originates, that area getting dry. So as a result, what happens? When that area drying up, it means the river will die itself from there only. It will not flow. The originating place itself is drying up. So many of the rivers won't be there after so many years there in India, in world also. Like that previous time also a lot of rivers were there, many of the rivers dried up. Now they are no longer existing. So all these problems we will face due to this global warming. And how the earth get heated, already we had discussed. Greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, chlorofluorocarbon, otherwise CFCs, and halocarbons. Halocarbons are the main contents of the pesticides, then fire resistance, like that items halocarbons are using. Then play an active role in the greenhouse effect. So which are the main greenhouse gases that play active role in greenhouse effect? Greenhouse gases, as a result greenhouse effect take place. They are carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, chlorofluorocarbon and halocarbons. The increase in the proportion of these gases in the atmosphere leads to the problem of global warming, then climate changes. That is what I am telling, greenhouse gases. This leads to the problem of global warming, then this leads to the problem of climatical changes. So greenhouse gases main reason. Then as a result, what happening? Global warming takes place. As a result, what is the next thing going to happen? Climate change. So these three are correlated, but what are the main basic reason behind all these three reasons? Human activities only. Because of our human activities, the greenhouse gases increasing in the atmosphere. So we have to control that, the use of the items which produces, otherwise which releases more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, that items use. The use of that item should be stopped by us, otherwise should be controlled by us. In a judicious way we have to use that. That is the only source to protect the environment, and at the same time we have to think to plant more trees and all these things. Then only we can survive in future, otherwise the next generations may suffer a lot. Now some data have given there, increase in the temperature by 0.6 degrees Celsius in the 100 years. You don't think that 0.6 degree only within 100 years, but it is a much remarkable change. Otherwise you should consider it as a serious issue. So picture is also given there, carbon dioxide 64%, chlorofluorocarbon. This is increasing proportion of these greenhouse gases, methane, halocarbon. When all these are increasing, it really causes, otherwise it really suffocates the earth. As a result, the earth itself will die. That is the reason. So greenhouse gases proportion is shown there. See how much of this increasing. Then each person in the world releases 4.5 metric ton of carbon dioxide, because when we breathe, what goes out? Carbon dioxide, and we inhale oxygen. As a result also, much carbon dioxide is there releasing to the atmosphere. Already we had seen about carbon dioxide. It is very heavy and it will be there in the lower level, and this is also increasing the atmospheric temperature. So more population, more human beings means there is problem of global warming, because every person releases other 4.5 metric tons of carbon dioxide. Then 100 years ago the amount of carbon dioxide was 275 ppm, but today it is 350 ppm. ppm means part per million. Okay, part per million. 280 ppm means 0.28%. Next graph is given there. It is showing the global temperature, increasing level of global temperature, and the reference also given there, annual average and 5-year average. If you see that those different lines, you can come to know that annual average and different average. Then x-axis and y-axis, the given details are years and the temperature, and annually it is given. Just you see that, just like ECG, you can feel that how much of this 1816 to 2000 it is shown, but what a difference. The high peak is there in 2000 if the graph is moving up only annually, and even 5-year average also. Red is for 5-year average and the other color is for annual average. Both you see how it is increasing. So the global temperature, we feel also, even nowadays also, how much of extreme heat we feel, perspiration, uneasiness. We can't sit without fan, otherwise without AC. The situation is like that. Even the winters getting started, the time is just like that. Then also we feel extreme heat there. So why all this taking place? The basic reason, global warming, climatic change, behind that greenhouse effect, and behind the curtain human beings only. Now the thing questions. Here increased average temperature on earth in the last 150 years, that graph is just you understand. We know that a definite quantity of sugar or salt, the example is given for making tea, sugar, definite quantity, it should be balanced, and for making vegetable salt, the quantity should be balanced, and if it is in imbalance, the taste will spoil and you can't use that. Like that, here in the atmosphere also different gases are there, so the balance of proportion of that gases should be maintained. If you are not able to maintain, otherwise if you create such a situation that the gases getting imbalanced, then what happens? We cannot live in a proper life because of climatical changes that take place of these activities. Then imagine what would happen if this balance proportion of carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere. Just one example is given about carbon dioxide. More vehicle means carbon monoxide. More human beings means carbon dioxide. So how can we survive? It is a question to think. That's why this lesson is included in your syllabus about global warming and climatical changes. Then below that one table is given there. All things in the left side of that table we need. Some of them will be daily use, we are needed. But how much they are contributing to increase the proportion of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the data is given there. Thermal power station, 200 megawatt thermal power station, yearly 9 lakh ton greenhouse effect. It 9 lakh ton that much aggravate the greenhouse gases. They like that motor car 17 crore ton yearly. AC for average 2 hours, if you calculate for 22 hours, 2230 kg. Without AC we cannot live. And when you use this electronic gadget, again you are a supplier of greenhouse gases. To say escape from this greenhouse effect, you go for electronic gadget like AC, fridge and fan. Then at that time what happens? You yourself become a supplier of greenhouse gases again. Then TV for 24 hours 190 kg, tube light for 24 hours 88 kg, computer for 24 hours 130, and fridge 24 hours 920 kg. So this much proportion of gases released, and that aggravate the greenhouse effect. Now methane, CH4. Massive increase in the methane proportion from 350 ppm in the year 1750 to 1764 ppm in the year 2005. And what is this methane and how it is increasing in the atmosphere? What are the reasons of this methane increasing? 3 reasons are there. Underline that also, otherwise put a star mark over there to show that it is very important. Exhalation of animals and their metabolism process, around 14 crore ton releasing methane. Paddy cultivation means agricultural activities, farming activities, that also. Then decomposition of biodegradable waste. I told you biodegradable waste, all the waste that is degradable and non-degradable waste are there, but biodegradable waste including human body, otherwise surgical removed part of human body, all these things including in that. And when it get decomposed, either biodegradable waste, otherwise the waste of paddy cultivation and exhalation, because of all these things, when it get decomposed, this especially this biodegradable waste and paddy cultivation waste, when it is decomposed, foul smell will be there. That when something is rotten, the foul smell will be there. That is means methane is producing there. So from that, in the atmosphere, this much crores of tons of methane is there. So it is really very bad for the atmosphere, for human beings. So all these things we have discussed in the previous class also. All the things used by human in one day has 80% of the air. A man breathes 22,000 times every day. In this way, man consumes 16 kg of oxygen from the environment. So just to imagine how much of kg, how many kilograms of oxygen you take one day. If average calculation is 16 kg. So that much oxygen you take means what? How much carbon dioxide you release? Because it is a simultaneous process. You take and you release. That also taking place. Now nitrous oxide, another greenhouse gas. Proportion of nitrous oxide is also increased from 270 ppm to recent 319 ppm part per million. It is increasing. Next is CFC. What is the full form of CFC? Chlorofluorocarbon. Where we are using mainly this, otherwise from where it is releasing foam, FOAM foam, means soap, and when you use that type of soapy water, you may get the foam over there. Then plastic items, refrigerator, AC, then aerosol spray. What is aerosol spray? The minute particles having the size ranging from 1 micron to 10 micron is known as aerosol. Then there has been an increase in the CFC. So just to imagine, whatever the items for our comfort, for our smooth going life, like electronic items, vehicles and other beauty cosmetic product, all these causes for what? Greenhouse gases. All these becomes a sponsor of greenhouse gases, and as a result atmospheric temperature increases, then global warming increases. We think that all these are very necessary for us, but when ancient time, otherwise 150 years ago, there was no such items, not much using. At that time there was no use of electricity also, otherwise even fan and AC we were not in the imagination that we or we were using all these things. But nowadays we can't live without all these things. We, for our comfort, we using this, but ultimately we spoil the environment. And the things to know, as per the resolution passed by the UN on 23rd January 1995, 16 September is Ozone Day. That also underlined, the Ozone Day is considering a 16 September. And in the, according to this textbook, it is 2007 was the hottest year. I told you, the data has changed a lot. So after 1918, in this time gap, 2007 was the hottest year. Up to here we had already completed. Again, one more time I had discussed, because some of you have got confusion, that is why. Now we go to the next portion, almost the last portion we are reaching, that is of effect of global warming. If global warming is there, note if, it is not conditional clause, definitely global warming is there. Then what will be the effect, otherwise the after impact of this global warming? What are they? Some changes we can observe, that is given in the textbook. Changes are observed in the growth and development of vegetation. So many points have given there. So point wise you learn, there is chance to ask the paragraph question, otherwise a short note, something like that. Even objective type questions also. So it is very important. What are the effect of global warming? What are the changes we observing? On the development of vegetation, a lot of changes we can observe. Some vegetation nowadays not growing, but some other new type of vegetation growing well. So vegetation, so accordingly hybrid vegetation, otherwise researches in vegetation and agricultural field and everything is going on. But the main thing that you can observe is that changes in the growth and development of the vegetation. Next one, certain species of birds are now disappearing, such as sparrows and vultures. Even sparrow, vulture, crow, butterflies. Nowadays we cannot see all this much, because they are disappearing from the world. Otherwise their number is getting reduced, and extinct animal and endangered animals, extinct and endangered species you might have studied earlier in 6th standard English, I think. So this extinct and endangered, all these are in endangered level. Some of them are extinct. Why? Because of these climatical changes due to global warming. 2000 glaciers of Himalayas have receded, otherwise melted. From Himalayan glaciers are also melting. Polar region also started to melt. Then Himalayan glaciers are also melting. So some pictures are also given there, May 2001, July 2003 and June 2006. So what is the difference in that picture? It is given just to see how much of melting of this snowfall. So all these things just you point wise learn. Number 1, changes observed in the growth and development of vegetation. 2, some species of birds are disappearing, such as sparrows and vulture. Number 3, glaciers are melting, Himalayan glaciers are melting. Next page, next number, so just you keep number and learn the point wise only, then it will be easy. There has been an increase in natural calamities like famine, cyclone, excessive rain and flood. Last 10 years, if you see, the natural calamities are also increasing due to climatical changes. Famine, drought, because of drought agricultural crops will not be there, shortage of water will be there. Then definitely the next one is famine and poverty. So this is taking place. Cyclone continues every year. Some areas of India also affect cyclone. Some areas excessive rainfall and flood. Then last 10 years also, if you see, you can see the difference. Then the places receiving heavy rainfall are now experiencing very less rainfall. Earlier very heavy rainfall was there, like Cherrapunji, but nowadays they are getting less rainfall, and some desert regions get good rainfall like Rajasthan and Dubai. Desert regions, they experience heavy rain, and Cherrapunji experienced scanty rainfall, otherwise very less rainfall. Then the production of pulses has gone down. Here you can take as one point, the agricultural crops production is going down. No need to mention about pulses, otherwise fruits, otherwise vegetables. All these together you can say that the crop production, it is going down. Next one, the level of groundwater has decreased. groundwater. When you dig the well, otherwise bore well, we get groundwater. So this groundwater is needed, and this groundwater is also nowadays getting less only. Why? Because of this global warming effect. Next one, the melting of glaciers has increased the water level in the ocean. In the ocean and sea, water level is increasing. This has aggravated the erosion of coastline. As a result, sea coast, they get erosion is taking place. Soil erosion from the coastal region that take place, then that soil disappearing from there, then the water is coming up to there, means sea level is increasing because of this. The main reason is when the glaciers melts, otherwise when the polar region ice cap melts. Next one, human beings will fall victims to dehydration and malnutrition due to the increase in temperature. Sometimes we are very much disappointed, otherwise we cannot tolerate the extreme temperature. We ourselves feel that. Sometimes I also feel that what a very bad weather is now, I can't tolerate. So we will try to drink enough water, we will go to the AC room or something like that, we prefer. But all people cannot do that. They can't afford all these facilities also. Even some areas of India still we are not getting clean drinking water also. So what those type of people will do? Definitely they will die due to the increasing temperature. Many people will die due to temperature in India every year. Especially those who are doing manual work, the laborers, those who are working under scorching sun, that type of people, they get sunburn, and as a result many of them will die also. And it takes place, it is happening every year in India. So those who are having enough money and comfort, otherwise cozy life, they may afford, but common people cannot afford. Then they may suffer dehydration. There is less water in body, then definitely it will lead you to a dangerous situation of your health. So that also happening. And malnutrition, nutritious food won't be available. When famine, drought, when it takes place, then it will be very difficult to get enough quantity of agricultural product. Then poor families will suffer a lot in that, because they can't afford that much costly. When the supply is very less, definitely more price will be there because of the famine, otherwise drought, crops, agricultural production not improving, otherwise not getting in the market, definitely the price will shoot up. Then as a result, the common man can't afford all these things. Then they will affect with malnutrition. So that also will affect their health, and gradually there is chance of getting death. Next one, there will be changes in the cycle of seasons. The characteristics of summer and winter season will change. That definitely we feel. The cycle, changes in the cycle of seasons. Summer, winter, monsoon. From the lower classes you have studied about, there are 3 seasons in India. Just like that, but autumn, sharad, that is different. That also mixed with this, but mainly 3 reasons. But nowadays we feel that only one season is there, that is summer only. Every time summer only. Very hardly sometimes we feel that December or January we may feel that winter experience. All other time, even if in rainy season it is extreme heat only, flood will be there, then also it is extreme heat only. It means that the character of seasons changing because of global warming. Next one, the salinity of the soil in Gujarat will increase due to the increase of 25 centimeter in sea level. The soil salinity, when sea level increases, what happens? Sea extends to the land level also. It is reaching up to the land area. And what is the speciality of sea water? The speciality of sea water, it is salty. So when it comes to the land area, when the sea level is increasing, there also the land area also will become saline. Otherwise the soil will get the salty content of the sea water. Then in the salinity, because of the salinity of the soil, that area agricultural production is not good. Especially salinity of the soil is not good for growing crops, except like few. So for coconut and other trees, some salinity it's okay. That is why on the sea shore you may sometimes chance to see the coconut trees. some salinity level is okay for coconut trees, but other plants, when the salinity of the soil, it may disturb the growth of other plants. Then when sea level increases, the soil salinity increases. As a result, agricultural production will get decreased. Next one, the salinity of the soil in Gujarat, especially is Gujarat. Why Gujarat is mentioned? Because Gujarat has the longest coastline because of two Gulf of Kutch and Gulf of Kamba. So as a result, this complete coastal regions, this salinity increasing. 25 centimeter in sea level. Next one, there is a marked decline in agricultural production. The frequency of diseases like cholera, dengue, malaria, yellow fever, swine flu, etc. has increased. We know a lot of changes there in the atmosphere, and diseases also. The latest one is COVID. A lot of changes. Some people are telling that it is human made only, maybe, but even the other things also we can see that swine flu, yellow fever, malaria, dengue, cholera, all these are one way or in another way, this type of diseases are also increasing. Next one, the areas near the coast of Maldives, Bangladesh, Philippines, West Indies and Australia have submerged. They are sinking. What are the specialities of these areas? Maldives, Bangladesh, Philippines, West Indies and Australia. Just like islands, otherwise sea bounded regions, they are going to sink into the sea because of the sea level of rising, sea level increasing. Next, according to the institution named Greenpeace, approximately 55 lakh people living in Gujarat will have to migrate in the year 2100. Greenpeace is an organization. Greenpeace is also vegetable also, but it is an organization. They are trying to protect the environment, and according to their data, they are telling that approximately 55 lakh of people living in the coastal regions of Gujarat will have to migrate. They have to leave their place. They have to migrate to some other safer places by 2100. Why? Because the sea level, the Arabian Sea level will definitely increase because of the polar regions melting and glaciers. Due to that, in future, just to think 2100, you may not be, I may not be there, you also may not be there, but your next generation will be there. So you think about that. If the pollution will continue, many states of India, especially the coastal region states, so India is a peninsula, so with that a lot of places are there in the coastal region, they may sink into the water. That will be the situation. The flowers are losing their fragrance due to global warming. Beehives are disappearing fast. Yes, we know definitely. Even sometimes in your garden, if you have a garden at night, you feel the mogra smell when mogra is blooming. But I have it at my home. Sometimes I feel that nowadays even the flowers are also not smelling properly. And very earlier, means just 10 years back, if you think, many insects, they were visiting the garden. Insects were visiting, like butterflies and sometimes chameleon and sometimes these honeybees. But nowadays even birds, small birds like sparrows, they were sitting there on the plants and they taking that nectar and everything. But nowadays the number is very, very less. Even butterfly we cannot see. Butterfly, dragonfly, all these are the common size in village areas. But even crow, all these are disappearing from the city areas very fast, maybe very rare to see in village areas. Why this is happening? Because of this global warming. Global warming means, now you think because of global warming what happened? Not directly global warming, but when people use pesticides and otherwise insecticides, chemical fertilizers, definitely because of that, this type of small insects and creatures, they will move away, and definitely then they will disappear. Move away means otherwise they will get dead. They will die because of this effect of pesticides and all these things. And definitely, I think some areas now butterfly parks are there, keeping butterflies growing like that. In my childhood, I remember wherever you go, you can see a lot of butterflies, dragonflies, different types of plants, blooming plants, small, big, and everything. But now, even you try to grow the plants, that also not growing in a proper way. That's the situation. But anyway, we have to grow, then only we can control the global warming. So even the flowers lost their fragrance, and even the crows are not there, vultures are not there, butterflies are not there, sparrows are not there like previous time. So all these are the effect of global warming. Now see, some pictures are given there. Ultraviolet rays, ozone layer, earth, and in the previous class also I have told, ozone layer is there, that is a protection for environment, otherwise for our earth. But when in this ozone layer is getting holes due to the atmospheric pollution, the sun rays from the sun directly reaches to the earth and directly reaches to us, and we get sunburn and other difficult problems. So that is shown here, ozone layer, and this ozone layer is just like an umbrella, just like a protection, but how the sunlight is reaching to the earth. Now the electronic gadgets picture is also given there. Fridge and other items when we use, factories, AC, you may feel that with all this we need, definitely all this we need, without this we can't live, because modern life depends on all these things. But use it judicially. When you use it judiciously, then we can control it, we can control the global warming. Factories increasing the temperature on earth, then how much CO2 is being released. Based on this picture it is given how much of carbon dioxide is releasing from this electronic gadget, and then even that factories it is written. So just to understand that the electronic gadget, including mobile phone, laptop, everything, whatever is electronic gadget, that creates problems, otherwise that is a supplier of greenhouse gases. Next picture you have the non-conventional sources of energy, solar energy, wind energy, biomass and tidal energy that you had studied in science. This also eco-friendly, otherwise environmental safe energy sources. Non-conventional sources, they are solar energy, wind energy, then biomass means from the waste of this vegetable waste, otherwise biodegradable waste, from that we can use this, and tidal energy from tides. All these are good for this. Next point is measures to prevent global warming. Now what are the effects we had seen? Now how can we prevent? It is our duty to prevent global warming. What are the things that we can contribute for that? Reduce the source of releasing carbon dioxide. The what we will do, now you may think you will kill the people, because we are the main reason for increasing carbon dioxide. We ourselves release carbon dioxide at the time of breathing. So we can't kill our friends or our fellow human beings. But population control should be there. Then the other way we have to think about growing more plants, because plants absorb carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. So growing more plants is the best way to balance the atmospheric carbon dioxide quantity. Next, afforestation and conservation of forest should be done. Afforestation, opposite of deforestation. Deforestation means cutting of trees. Afforestation means growing more plants. And conservation of forest. Forests also should be preserved. We should not cut the trees from the forest also. And forest fire and its effects we had seen in the previous lessons. So that also to be considered, and forest should be preserved in a proper way. The conservation of forest is very much needed. Growing trees help to reduce carbon dioxide. If you see the highways, you can see that from here to Ahmedabad, when you move, you can see that a lot of plants are there in the middle of the road also, highway. Why it is there? You know, because a lot of vehicles passing and atmosphere is getting polluted. Then more plantation means that they will absorb this carbon dioxide, and also it gives beauty to our eyes, and at the same time it keeps the environment clean also. So wherever possible, grow more plants, that otherwise grow more trees to reduce the atmospheric carbon dioxide. Next, avoid the use of plastic. You are not supposed to use much plastic products, and you should not burn plastic. And in our school also last year we had decided that so far possible you should not bring plastic products and even that junk food items that is covered in the plastic cover. That's all things we have to consider. Next one, optimum use of manure and pesticides. Manures are there that you had studied in science classes, means natural and chemical fertilizers. Natural fertilizers are okay, but chemical fertilizers, when you use, optimum means minimum use. In a how much is needed, that much only use, especially pesticides also. Sometimes even for a small worm, that is quite natural. When plants grow, otherwise fruits are there, worms definitely should be there. Minimum way we have to use these pesticides. When you use more, directly it will affect the fruit may grow well, but when we eat that fruit, it affects our health only. That is why from the market when we buy the fruits and vegetables, we have to wash it in a proper way. Nowadays double protection because of COVID. So all these things we have to remember. Next one, adopt organic farming, use of green manure and cattle manure. Animals excreta, especially cattle manure, that is also very good when we use adopt, otherwise when we adopt organic farming. What is organic farming? Not using the chemical fertilizer for that. In organic way means the manure, otherwise the fertilizer we are using, that is natural fertilizers, otherwise organic fertilizers. That type of product is good for health. Some areas you can see that organic farm area, otherwise organic products, you might have seen that. Next one, add biotic to the food for animals. Biotic and abiotic things you had studied. The effort for animals, fodder for animals, which what do we give as their food. In that also we should consider. Many times we have observed that the cattle, they are roaming here and there, they eat plastic. That is not good for their health. And even after eating the plastic, when they produce the milk, that is not good for the human beings also when we drink that milk. So maximum biotic products should be given to the animals for their food. Biotic, not abiotic. Next, optimum use of household appliances. I told you all electronic appliances are the suppliers of greenhouse gases only. So no need to use every now and then opening and closing the fridge and otherwise one person 3-4 mobile phones. No need of all these things. How many mobile phones are there at your home? Just to think. How many laptops are there? How many computers are there? How many vehicles are there at home? If you calculate, you feel that you are the biggest culprit in that. One of the biggest culprit in that, because you contribute a lot to the increase of greenhouse gases. So proper, otherwise optimum use of household appliances is very much needed. Then proper use of means of transport. This point is not valid now. Till last year I was telling that when you use public transportation system, you can save your petrol, otherwise diesel, the fuel. If you use your own vehicle and go to Baroda or Surat, you have to spend for your petrol or diesel, your fuel. But if you use a bus, otherwise a train, it will help you. Even your pocket also will be safe. At the same time, the environment also will be safe. But nowadays, after COVID-19, we use personal vehicles more, because now public gatherings are dangerous, and that is why even public transportation system is not there. Very rarely, otherwise gradually we are thinking of about all these things, but it will take a lot of time to